How to make your affirmations work every single time. Everybody wants to know why some techniques work, why some people get results doing affirmations and others don't. Well, I'm going to break this down in a way that everybody can understand and actually gets you to the point to where you never have to think about if this is going to work or is it not. It's just always going to work for you. Now, the number one thing, right? When people come into this space and they're like, "Okay, this is I'm going to do NW for not working." They say, "Oh, this is not working for me." They need to understand this thing. And I'm going to use these little wheels as cars, right? So boom, boom, boom. It's a car. And this is a road, right? And when people say manifestation is not working for me, this is how they view how they should get their manifestation, right? They view, hey, this car is on this road. It's a straight shot to what? Our desired reality. So they get this illusion that they know how it's going to come. Now, there's multiple reasons why this is setting you up for failure and why, in the first place, you're thinking it's not working, right? So, people, you come into manifestation, you're told, hey, think a certain way, do these techniques, and you will receive your desired reality. You're taking the car, you do this thing, and you will get this. And in a practical sense, yes. But when you're told this, you're like, okay, if this is true for me, I'm going to do this. And if I don't see results, I'm doing it wrong. And again, you're setting yourself up for failure in multiple different ways. One of them being, guess what? It doesn't always go this way, right? It's not always a straight path. The path might go, it might go like this, right? Where it's looping all around. It might go like this, or you might actually get a shot like this. And why is this the case? It's because you're like the way you receive your manifestations, not many people talk about this, which is why people think it's supposed to go this way, but you're getting them in the most effective way, tailored towards your beliefs. And this is what I mean. So when you start manifesting, right? You're like, okay, I am this thing. Have you ever heard of the term that your manifestations are instantaneous? Well, if you had, you will know that when you say it, you have your desired reality. And if you don't, now you do. That's kind of how it works. We are the mind, the awareness, which means when we say something, it is true for us then. Now, what people don't understand is who is building this road. Because if we are here and our ego, our physical body, is here at the car, we do have to traverse a road, which is the quote unquote bridge, even though I don't like calling it that, but the road to drive to our desired reality with the ego. Now, what builds that? Our belief systems, right? So if we believe it's going to take a long time, our road might look like this. If we believe that, it's very easy for us, but we have to impress subconscious mind first, and that takes a long time, it might look like this. Or if you believe you can't manifest, you'll run into a wall and you'll destroy your car and you'll never get what you want, right? Because manifestation is very, very one-sided. If you say something, it's going to be true. It's very literal. All right, so how do we get through this? And how do we stop number one of it's not working for us? It's by understanding that the beliefs are curating the path, which meaning we're not focusing on the past. We're focusing on us. We're focusing on the beliefs, the belief that will take us on this path where it's like, okay, there's no beliefs stopping the car. And how do we get that? It's to build the foundation of our manifestation self-concept. Now, what would I suggest you do practically for this to get rid of number one, which is boom, your belief stopping the car? Now, that would be to tell yourself that manifestation is so easy, building up that, oh, I manifest so quickly, that, oh, I manifest everything instantly. Now, what this will do is you will take away any walls on this road, right? And when you take away the walls on the road, you're now going to take the most effective path for you, period, to get to your desired reality. Because in the end of the day, in the fourth dimension, everything is already done. And I'm sure you've heard that before, that, oh, everything is already done. And if that's the case, there isn't this thing where, oh, we can't get this unless we put up our own walls, which is why step one is getting rid of the walls, building a belief system in conjunction with the fact that we get everything we want. We get it quickly. We get it easily. We do all these things that make sure that we get our desires. Now, that's number one, which is beliefs. We're cutting out the walls on the road. Now, number two, I forgot. You can't actually see number 2. Boom. So let's do number 2 is, guess what? All roads lead to the same place. If we know, right, that this car is just our physical body, but we know that us, right, our mind, which again, if the mind is cause and reality is effect, well, then we can't, like, when we say something, we're already there. We know we're in our desired reality. The ego just has to catch up. And of course, everybody wants to get it in our physical reality, but the whole point in knowing the stuff is knowing to make it easier. And if we know that we, our true self, the self that is alive, already has it, what you need to understand is that no matter what the road looks like, all roads lead to your desired reality. You know, all roads lead to the end point, to whatever you're choosing with your awareness, with your mind, with your techniques, with your attention, with your focus. Okay, so if you say, boom, I make $1,000 a day, right? And you sit there and you're like, okay, I make $1,000 a day. You, the true you, right? Not this, not your skin sack, but you, the true you, the mind, it gets it immediately. So you know that you are making $1,000 a day, and coming from this mindset, it's easier to persist along the road. So if you take away the roadblocks, right? You configure your belief system to the point of which you know that you have no limitations through manifestation. Okay, you push all of them out, right? You do that, take away the roadblocks. Now, how are you going to traverse the car? Because if you're, and I want you to think about this, we can put a T in front of this car because it's a Tesla, right? It's the most common and notoriously known self-driving car. If you know every time you pick something to manifest, right, where again, you want to make some money, you're getting in a self-driving car, no matter what this road looks like, right? Because you might have a little detour. Again, it's not always a straight path. You might have a road that kind of looks like this, right? But if you know you are already at the finish line, the road doesn't matter. The path does not matter. And if that is the point and you know that it doesn't matter, then you need to understand that the only time manifestation does not work or your affirmations do not work, it's when you get out of the car, right? Because if you know the road, no matter what, is always leading to your desired reality, and you can actually replace this with the reality that you're focusing on. Because if you're focusing on the fact that you have no money and money always leaves you when you have a shit ton of money, well, you're in the electrical car going down your road, whatever it looks like, of making no money, right? This is, I mean, you can flip it for whatever you want. It's just whatever you're putting your attention in, using your imagination for. If that is the case, you're in the self-driving car going there. And the way that you can make sure that this doesn't happen, you have to maintain a level of awareness. Now, how do you maintain a level of awareness to make sure you don't get out of the car, at least predominantly? Okay, because you're going to make pit stops like you do on a vacation. You're not going to go from, Maine all the way down to California in one trip without stopping unless you're a complete sociopath. Okay, I don't even know how you do that. So, of course, there's going to be natural pit stops. You're going to get out. Your attention's going to waver. You're going to do all these things. But the good thing about predominance, right, and we can do this as a P, predominance equals 51%, right? 51% or greater. So you have to be over 51% to be predominant, which is very easy if you think about it. If you're struggling to get 51% into your, awareness of having what it is that you want, you're really not trying. You really don't want it bad enough. You're just kind of complaining at that point. It's very easy. So knowing this, that you only need to be in it 51% of the time, you do this by your attention, and you know that the road always leads there, well then it should not be an issue for you to see something that you don't like, hear something you don't like, feel a feeling that you don't like. Because if you know the road is leading there regardless, like if you knew the ending to a movie, all the middle hiccup drama wouldn't mess with you. It might initially work, it'd be like, it doesn't matter, I already know that. I already know that at the end of the movie, the main character wins and he gets all this stuff because you've seen the ending. It was spoiled on Twitter, right? But when it comes to this manifestation, it's the same thing, right? Because when you're on the path there, right? And again, we'll go back to making $1,000 a day. You're on this road. You might have a business, right? And you're making on this business, and we'll think about a graph, right? We're gonna boom. Let's think about a graph. You're in your business. You want to make $1,000 a day. Your starting point is $100 a day, and you have this graph that kind of goes like this. And boom, you're like 3 days into it. You're at 800. You're like, fuck yes, like I'm doing something. I'm getting there. Like this is who I am. And then guess what? It might come down like this, and it might go to, let's say it's 500. And then guess what most people do, right? Even though they know who they are, right? Let's say this $1,000 over here. They know that they're already here. And now the road is showing you $500 a day. And what do? Most people, right? Well, they'll be like, oh, fuck, I'm not doing it right. Oh, nothing's working. Then slowly it drops. And they might even get another jump, right? They might go back up to 500 after it dropped. Because initially they were in the state of having $1,000 a day. But then they're like, oh, man, it's just not working. I knew it was never going to work. And then they go all the way back down to 100. And then what do they claim? They claim manifestation doesn't work for them. Oh, it doesn't work. I can't manifest money. And then what are you doing? You're creating more of those barriers along the road that we talked about in the first reason why you're saying, oh, my affirmations aren't working, right? You're putting those barriers back up, which is how the barriers even come to function in the first place, right? And your car gets stuck a mile after leaving the house because you forgot to fill it up with gas. I mean, it is that simple. So when you experience this on the road, right, you need to understand that no matter what this looks like in front of you, that you are here. And knowing this should give you some sense of comfort. Because if you knew that no matter what, even though your business went up, $700, you're doing $800 a day, and then it dropped back down to 500, if you know, hey, no matter what, I actually make $1,000 a day. Even though initially it might fright you, it might scare you, it might evoke intrusive thoughts, it might evoke these intrusive emotions, as long as you're predominantly 51% being the version of you who makes $1,000 a day, right? Or you're always returning to it, no matter if you waver, no matter if you see anything, no matter if you're being something, if you always return to it, well, then you know the ending to the story. You set the GPS. Now it's time to let the car get there, right? No matter what it looks like. Sometimes you're going to have stuff that goes from like, you're just like this. Other times you might have one that looks like this, where you drop down and you're like this. Again, it's not always the same. You're going there in the most effective way possible, tailored to your beliefs, which is why number one is getting the roadblocks out of the way. By believing, you manifest everything instantly. You manifest everything quickly and easily. All of my techniques work. Everything I do works. I always get my manifestations, right? First you do that, right? And you can do them at the same time, but I'm just saying in, a list form, but you don't have to sit there and work on your beliefs for 7 months and then you can finally get your desired reality. No, that's not what I mean. And don't worry, I will give you a practical guide to doing this here in a second once I'm done explaining my graph. But no matter how this graph looks, if you know you're getting to 1,000 anyway, as long as you continue to be in the awareness, or at least your physical self will eventually get there, and you know that you have it, well, then it doesn't make sense to react to it anyway, because all you're doing is creating more of the bullshit. And we don't want that. So we're going to be disciplined. And remember, what is discipline? How do you manifest? 51% predominant state. Very easy. Don't make it seem like it's harder. Don't tell yourself if you have a little waver, you're not going to get it, because that's not true. It just isn't. All right, these are things that you're getting from TikTok, YouTube, from other creators, from other people's limiting beliefs. And it is not true, because if you know a predominant belief manifests, well, predominant is only 51%, right? Don't make it all difficult. Now, when it comes to these two things and making sure all your affirmations work, how are we going to do this, and what routine would I do for you if you were in this position? So one, it'd be getting I'm going to do M, which for manifestation, and then self-concept. So manifestation, self-concept. So when you're doing your techniques throughout the day, I want you to pick one thing, right? And actually, I'll pick it for you, because I know everybody's indecisive and they'll sit there and look up the best affirmations. I want you to tell yourself that you manifest everything quickly and easily. All right, I'll even put it on the board, right? I manifest everything quickly and easily. Okay? That is what you're going to do. You're going to start your day with that, and you're going to do it for around 10 to 15 minutes. And then in the middle of the day, if you think about your manifesting and how it's not working or just pops in your head, again, think, I manifest everything quickly and easily. And then you do it at night. That is that. That's how you're going to do step one. I manifest everything quickly and easily. If you notice you're thinking other things that are very specific to your little desired reality or your little niche, well, then add it to it. For example, if you're manifesting an SP, it's like, oh, you keep getting the intrusive thought, man, I can't manifest an SP. I did too much. Well, then take the opposite of that statement, which would be, oh, I can always manifest what it is that I want. I can always manifest a specific person. I can always do this. I can always do that. Make the opposite of it. Extrapolate that to whatever situation you're in, and then throw it in there and do that as well. Okay? Again, simple. We like to simplify things here. Now, 2. This would be maintaining awareness, because this is going to throw you through a loop when it first happens. It's a natural response. It does not do anything, okay? But how are you going to maintain awareness so you don't go days slipping and, wavering and doing all this stuff? Well, I'm going to suggest that you meditate. Now, meditation isn't what people tell you, or what you see on TikTok. Meditation is literally the act of doing nothing. Now, to simplify this even further, what I want you to do on a day-to-day basis is sit down in a dark room, right? It doesn't have to be dark, but I would suggest it. That way you're not seeing stuff behind your eyes and all the light and stuff. Sit down in a dark room, put on some noise canceling headphones if you have them. Okay, if you don't worry about it. It's fine. And then just sit there. You're going to have intrusive thoughts. You might see stuff in your mind. If you're a visual thinker, doesn't matter. Just look at them, right? Just like you're watching a river, like you're watching a stream, like you're watching something on Netflix. Fuck all the spiritual talk. You're sitting there just watching something. You're not reacting. You're not canceling if it's a bad thought. You're just observing. And you're going to do this, I would recommend 20 minutes in a sitting. But if you're newer, I'd start with 10. But I'd suggest 10 to 20 minutes. It wouldn't work up to 20 minutes, and then that should be your new mainframe every day. And what that is going to do is it's going to kind of separate you from your intrusive thoughts. So when you go throughout your day and you hear these intrusive thoughts that used to set you off, well, earlier in the morning, which I would suggest doing it in the morning. If you can't, do it at night. It doesn't matter, but just do it once a day. But I'd suggest if you can't, do it in the morning. It kind of sets the tone for the day. Because let's say you wake up at 6 a.m. and then you're sitting there and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to go meditate. And you meditate and you hear all of these things that are the opposite of what you're manifesting, but you realize you're not thinking them because you're not thinking, right? You're observing. And it kind of puts you above all of your intrusive thoughts. So when they pop up, when you're at the gym or when you're seeing your SP at work or when you're seeing your bank account isn't where you want it to be, well, you're like, oh, I didn't even, that thought was going on autopilot. So I know it's not even me. And when you have this sort of different awareness, it's easier to go back to who you're telling yourself to be. All right. The act of meditation in and of itself is not going to determine you getting it, but it's a tool to pull you away from the bullshit of your mind. And once you're away, you now have the awareness to see something bad. It might trigger you immediately, but then you're like, oh, that was happening in my mind when I wasn't thinking. And you can easily step into the version that you chose in the first place. So, with all this being said, that is really all you need to know about manifestation and getting your affirmations to work. Because if you're doing all these things and they're not working, it's because 1, you have roadblocks, or 2, you're getting out of the car before your actual desired reality can get there, before the car can bring you to the destination that you put into the GPS. Because newsflash, manifestation cannot go wrong. You can choose to view wrong, which will get you wrong. But manifestation in and of itself cannot go wrong. So you watch this all the way to the end. You know the secrets. You know how to make affirmations work. Now don't fucking kid yourself and actually implement what I just taught you. Or you'll be wasting your time and not actually respecting yourself because you want this to work. So make it work and do what I'm telling you. Okay, I'm telling you for a reason. All right. Appreciate you guys for coming out, and I will see you guys in the next one. Love y'all.